Father, tonight we love you. We bless you for this awesome opportunity. Father, tonight we love you. We bless you for this awesome opportunity to be in your presence and to hear your thoughts, Lord. We thank you for the word that carries the authority to break open and to heal and to deliver. And we thank you that you have our attention tonight. Father, speak to us. Put your mind in my mouth and allow me to articulate the thing that you desire these great leaders to hear. I bless you for grace. We give you the honor that you're taking our ability to the next level. Now, Father, sensitize us through this word tonight and challenge us for the coming season that is here. We give you the honor and we give you the glory for all that you're doing. In the name of Jesus, amen. Before you take your seat, tell your neighbor, neighbor, great men and women are only born for the time that they are needed the most. And the only reason you're still here is because God is not finished. If this were all life had to offer, then you'd have a reason to quit. But because he's not finished, come on, say that again. But because he's not finished, you've got to press a little harder to see what tomorrow holds. Come on, now take about 20 seconds and give God praise that he's excited about your tomorrow. Come on, go crazy. There's the glory that's been trying to creep in. You won't let it. Come on, praise him. Praise him that he's come to deal with your tomorrow. Glory. Come on, a little louder. You got it tomorrow. Come on. My thoughts toward you are good and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Glory. We praise you for tomorrow. Hallelujah. Glory, 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 glory. Come on. You don't have to be bound with today. You don't have to be ensnared by yesterday. God's taking you to tomorrow. Come on, praise him. Hallelujah. I feel it moving. Hallelujah. Hey, hey, hey. Come on, hallelujah. Oh. All right, you can be seated in the presence of the Lord. God is good. Hallelujah. It's such an honor to be here. I want to do all of my formalities. I'm so grateful to be here, and everybody who knows me knows that Pastor Merritt and Pastor Frank are some of my absolute favorites. I am technically legally on annual leave, annual sabbatical, and I have been having annual withdrawals, and I can tell that they're doing the same with their show-ups, but I could not have missed this significant date for this woman of God because she is extremely submitted. And she is extremely faithful. The Bible talks about being found faithful. And I think a lot of us become faithful when we know promotion is coming. But to be found faithful means that you have been doing it the whole time. And this woman of God is one that is found faithful. I love her and her husband there. And Elder Frank is the real MVP. How many of you know it takes a strong man, seriously, to walk with a woman of God and call her God? So let's give them an awesome hand for 4 years. Grace. Come on, you can do better than that. Celebrate them. Hallelujah. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for all of the men and women of God in the room, those that I know and those that I don't, those that are part of the gate. I love you guys so much. And it's a little like we all on one accord. We all blacked it up today. We got to get a couple of selfies for it's over with. We're getting ready for the World Changers Summit, which is like our annual. That's our annual convocation. All of our churches come together at the Tinley Park Convention Center. We literally practically bought the whole thing for the week. And I want to give you the opportunity to be there. All of our churches will be there. We have a senior pastor's day on Wednesday, and then the conference officially begins Thursday night. We've got Bishop Joseph Garlington, Bishop Joseph Matera, Reverend Tommy Tenney. Anybody who read Chase says he'll be with us. My sister, Prophet Michelle McLean Walters, Prophet Catherine Sykes, myself, and some other people. We got Travis Green, Todd Delaney, my own Ryan Booker, who's in the back. He'll be with us that weekend. So I want you to make plans to be there. It's Halloween weekend, so if you say you ain't got nothing else to do anyway, and these Hallelujah parties is played, it's just the way that we don't have to deal with witchcraft. So come on to the house of the Lord and be a part of a system of impartation. Glory to God. I'm excited to be here, and I do have a word from the Lord. Again, I honor all of you ministry gifts, all of you that are here. Thank you so very, very, very much. I have quite a bit that God has given me, and it's always dangerous making me preach after I've been away with God, because I'm so full of the stuff that the Lord has been dealing with me about. And just today, when I woke up for my prayer time, I spent some time praying over hurting and grieving leaders, and I didn't really know how to project who would be here tonight, but I spent some time praying over that, praying for that issue, because I just sense that there's something the Lord wants to deal with. How many know if you are a God-ordained leader in any capacity, whether it's senior pastor, if you are a support leader, one of the things Satan is after is your capacity and your ability to hold. For the last several years, we have been under the hands of men that frankly can't really hold much. Persecution comes, they break. Life happens, they break. People leave, they break. But God is after a type of a leader that's been built for the battle we've been called for, that refuse to break, and that have been resourced to become strong enough to not break. And one of the ways Satan comes after the capacity of leaders is by allowing them to live with unconfronted pains and unconfronted wounds. They kind of grow into their personality and into their model of ministry, but ultimately it affects how they lead it. So I just feel like God is giving me that type of Nathan Samuel thing lately, where God is sending me to leaders that have an unconfronted wounding and an unconfronted tear. And what happens is many of these things don't always come from sheep. Some of this stuff comes from unfinished business with private pastors. They started ministry with these unconfronted issues with authority, and they brought those authority issues in their authority over other people. And so these are things that we've got to deal with if we're going to see this cycle broken, where broken people break people. And so we're going to deal with some of that. Don't get uncomfortable yet. I always tell people in my preaching, celebrate. Get nervous when I prophesy. So don't get uncomfortable right now. Save that for later. But I want to deal with some of that because I think that that's on the heart of God. I have a word from the Lord, and then we're going to spend some time prophesying. Go to Jeremiah chapter 1. And I'm going to preach something to you. This minstrel is anointed, and glory was coming through her fingers. Go to Jeremiah chapter 1, and I'm going to preach some things to you tonight. And the rule is the quicker you say amen, the faster you can get home. There you go. Jeremiah 1, when you're there, say, I'm there. I'm there. And I'm going to preach this to you in a couple of dimensions, but I want to lift some principles to this that I want you to take notes if possible, or record it if possible. Do what you need to do, but I think it's going to help you in whatever facet of leadership the Lord has called you to be in. And if you're going to reduce, or if you're going to see your leadership calling, and if you're going to see the synonym for what it is you do, it's going to be influence. And you need to understand that God is concerned about how you treat your influence, and he's also concerned about how ready you are for the next degree of influence. And so when God is preparing a man or a woman or a person for a greater measure of responsibility, he sends them through a series of tests and drills that sometimes while you're in it could feel like Satan. You know, I'm learning that there's a lot of times that God allows us to go through things that we think is Satan just because it's uncomfortable. But God is committed to the training of people that he's given responsibility to. And this is a perfect template for what I'm talking about in Jeremiah 1. And I'm going to read from verse 4 to 12, okay? And I'm going to cheat today. Y'all know I like Amplified and King Jimmy, but I'm going to use the NIV today, okay? This is the call of Jeremiah. The word of the Lord came to me saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I set you apart. Or those of you that are theologically savvy knows that that means to be consecrated. And that is a curse word when dealing with church and church leadership. Looking for a person's sanctification level is rare. And here when we're dealing with Jeremiah, we see that the level of Jeremiah's sanctification was important to God. He wanted to let him know that he consecrated him before he gave him responsibility. That his salvation was no longer a work in progress. I think that's a problem in Chicago. We have a bunch of unconverted leaders preaching a gospel of conversion. And I think that if you're going to preach a message of deliverance, very minimal, you should be delivered. He says, before I set you apart, and I appointed you as a what? A prophet to the nations. Now look at the response or the rebuttal of Jeremiah the prophet. Alas, or I think the KJV says, aha, sovereign Lord, I said, I don't know how to speak, for I am too young. Now, let's do some work here. Clearly, he's not talking about not being able to communicate, because he's communicating. He's speaking in a dialogue with God about what God is wanting. But he's talking about speaking in a certain way, particularly based upon what he knows his responsibility is going to be. He's saying, I don't know how to communicate or engage or speak at the level of this level of leadership. So he's not saying, I don't know how to talk English. He's saying, I am ill prepared. I am ill equipped. I'm not ready. I have insufficiencies, inadequacies, inferiorities. But this is how you know that this is getting ready to be real good, because my Bible shows me a pattern that whenever God appoints a leader, if that leader does not go in first, he fails when he's put in front of people. And the way we prepare preachers, the way we prepare leaders, elders, whatever, we prepare them from the outside, and then we deal with the inside. Preach this way, wear this collar, wear this color, go to this, learn Hebrew, learn Greek, homiletic, all of that stuff. But the problem is, when a leader is not measured by the condition of their inner man, they fail when they're given a platform. And this is why you end up seeing leaders that have not dealt with rejection, they've not dealt with abandonment, they've not dealt with rebellion. And when you give those issues authority, they end up perpetuating cycles of dysfunction throughout their church. Say amen. He goes inward. Another leader that went inward was Isaiah in Isaiah 6. God calls him and he says, woe is who? Woe is? Woe is. So he went inward. He went introspective about the condition of his soul, his mindset, his mentality, and his inner man. Because all of these people knew that who I am and how I am when nobody is looking at me is going to really determine how well I function on a platform. Yeah. Now, the reason the amens are so scarce right now is when you start removing people from their public power, and when you start removing people from their addiction to microphones, and when you start removing people from the applause of their crowd, and you put them in a situation where there is pressure on what's going on inside of them that is uncomfortable. That's not something we want to talk about. That's not something people like to review. But when God is getting ready to give you authority to cities, authority over nations, he does not start with how you dress. He don't start with an old dump press on. He don't start with no old bottle oil. He goes into you. He wants to deal with how you handle pain. He wants to deal with how you see life. He wants to deal with whether or not you know how to recover and recuperate from setbacks. He wants to know if you built with tough skin, if you too pumped to continue because somebody doesn't like you or criticizes you or measures you or moves himself against you. And our problem is we platform people based upon what they look like, but we don't measure them on what's going on inside. I'm scared of you. Leadership is an inside job. Glory to God, and that's why we fail it. Because we didn't say like Jeremiah, I can't do this, I can't do it. We didn't go there. We immediately said, bam! Now I've got power to retaliate. And now I've got power to get back at my life's resentments. I can tell everybody that didn't believe in me, I told you so. I can prove my haters wrong, my former bishop wrong. You didn't do it, and now God's about to do it. But the problem is that stuff creeps over into your congregation, into your influence. your marriage, into your money. But God sent me tonight to go in. You know, we got to deal with the quality of your inner self. Let me get back there. Preach. He says, I don't know how to speak. I am too young. Look at verse 7. Interesting stuff. But the Lord said to me, do not say, I am too young. Now, bringing this contextually, this is not talking about Jeremiah's chronological age. We have preached this for years as if Jeremiah's issue was how young he was in comparison to the degree of responsibility God had given him. But we see that this myth is already debunked when the Bible says in the book of 1 Samuel that God gave Samuel a word that Eli could not handle. And it's interesting that when Samuel was 9, God gave him the word of judgment for the nation, that he in that situation was the one obviously that outranked the priest of that day, because God could have directly told Eli, I'm going to judge your house, but he used a boy to do what the man refused to do. So God continued to use this, but this is not just talking about age. It's talking about the inexperience of Jeremiah compared to where he was going. Okay, I'll take my time. Listen, when you're dealing with leadership, CEO, business, manager, entrepreneur, pastor, when you're dealing with that, judging yourself or having faith for where you've been, piece of cake. Because you're not a crackhead no more. Hopefully you're not a homemonger no more. Hallelujah. Hopefully you're not cheating on your taxes no more. Hopefully you're not, eliminated. Hopefully, so that stuff you don't need faith for because it's past tense. Nobody needs to believe God for what they've seen him do. Everybody needs to believe him for what they're insecure about what he's going to do in the future. So the problem is, everybody's inadequacies manifest when God talks tomorrow language. I know that you delivered me from this because it's happened. I got a trophy. You proved it. But what happens when God goes to you and you got no money and you got no people and you have no approval and a bank won't flirt with you and folk won't come to hear you? You got your prayer conference and nobody. What happens when God starts looking at you in that state, in that condition, and talks a tomorrow language to you? You respond with, I cannot talk. I can't do. I can't even do this. You know, those paradoxes that occur between where you are in your present and where God's taking you in your purpose. God told them, don't say that because you must go everywhere I send you and say whatever I command you. Verse 8, I could spend all night there, but I'm not going to do it. Don't be afraid of them. Because if you're going to lead and lead effectively, and if you're not going to cower and be converted by your culture, first thing you got to get rid of is fear. You got to get rid of fear of being alone. You got to get rid of fear of failure. You got to get rid of fear of being misunderstood. You got to get rid of fear of having to hurt. You know, one of the things that amazed me, this is a sidebar preach, I am amazed as you talk to leaders how many of them are binding and loosing and breaking and blessing, but they're still scared of pain. And it makes me wonder if people realize that pain is a part of life. That feels good. That feels real good in that preach. When you are a leader, you have got to realize that in every season of your life, your pain tolerance must increase. You are not suited to lead anybody if pain makes you quit. Pain is the language of growth. It's the language of life. It means that something has become unsuitable. It is a place of time. How can you lead people in an unprecedented way and crave comfort? You religious thing, you. I believe that God is crafting a leader that's okay with being uncomfortable, that's okay with being stripped only, okay with being ripped, okay with being torn and hurt if you need to today. But whatever you do, turn to somebody and say, whatever you do, don't you take your directions from pain. Don't you take your cue from pain. Don't you take your paycheck from pain. Don't you take your confirmation, your affirmation, your validation. Don't you let pain dictate your purpose. Do not be afraid. But what if they leave me? Don't be afraid. What if they don't pay tithes? Don't be afraid. What if I don't have a musician? Don't be afraid. What if I have to rent? Don't be afraid. What if I got to go on the side of the city and God says if one day you want the king and the doctor and the lawyer, I'm going to train you with how you handle the whore and the homosexual and the crack addict. Because if you can do it with the these. I'll send you the greatest of these before. What happened? The problem is we get wrapped up in our fear and we never move into our future because of the fear of our today.
My God, my God.
But who wants a scary leader? This is juicy. I haven't even got. I said, who wants a scary leader? I don't know about you, but I want somebody over me that's got that first anointing. That's got that anointing that says, I don't know what lays ahead, but I'm a real trailblazer. And when you are a trailblazer, forever your responsibility is to put your foot in the door that nobody opened. It's to create a way where there was no way. And you don't wait for an opportunity, you make one. There may be beasts and lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and the unimaginable and the unthinkable in the future, but I ain't scared to go close.
Yes, sir.
Anyway,
Yes, sir.
do not be afraid of them, for I am with you.
Yes.
God reinforces a leader, letting them know if the mayor does not know you,
Yes, thank you, Lord.
if your local banker has yet to meet you, 1390 is yet to ask you for an interview, the Word Network, TVN, etc., is yet to give you your chance to be discovered. I'm going to let you sit for a while and just meditate on the fact that I am with you.
Yes.
I could have flipped right through here.
Right.
I'm not going to, but he lets you spend a couple of years, Pastor. But finding the resolve that I am with you. And when that becomes enough, but you're okay with the fact that I called you and I stamped you and I told you this and you didn't hear a crazy voice. When a leader has resolved in his heart that God is with me, then all of a sudden the doors will open. The man starts to call. The bank wants to give you the money. But the problem is leaders kick and scream in that season where God proves I'm with you. I'm with you. But when you have resolved that God is enough, then he gives you the goal. He gives you the glory. He gives you the influence. He gives you the access. But you're going to go through a season where he's got to prove I'm with you. Now, do not be afraid of them, for I am with you, and I will rescue you, declares the Lord. Now, here's my real message. Verse 9. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, pay attention to this, I have put my words in your mouth. See today, I appoint you where?
Over nations.
Come on, over who?
Nations.
Now, think about the type of leader this guy would have to be to literally handle the spiritual affairs of entire nations without bribery, without corruption, without being a pimp. When God starts to purify a man to handle the pressure of a nation on his back, we're going to see how God trained him. I am putting you over nations and over the kingdoms to uproot, tear down, destroy, overthrow, build, and plan. Y'all like, yeah, I know that. God told me that would come. Verse 11, the word of the Lord came to me. Here's where it's getting juicy. Yeah, I'm going to uproot you, throw down, build, plant, advance the kingdom, go into the nations. You're going to do all that, right? But lesson number 1, verse 11. What do you see, Jeremiah?
Yes, come on. Yes, God. Yes, God.
Now, in my life, in my ministry, I have known to look for trouble when God asks questions. Because he never asks things that he does not know. He asked Adam, as if he couldn't see. He asked Elijah, what are you doing? So when God asks a man a question, it's for that man to locate his logic and to be able to place themselves in what he's doing. So God wanted Elijah to locate himself by testing what he saw. What do you see, Jeremiah? Jeremiah responds, I see the branch of an almond tree. Verse 12, and the Lord said to me, I love this, you have seen, the NIV version says, correctly. For I am watching to see that my word is fulfilled. Okay, so tonight we're going to do a little work. Give me like 30 minutes. There's nothing else to do tonight but sin anyway. But one of the things God wants to give you as a leader is victory in your views. Write that down. That's
good.
Victory in my views. In my views. I have studied this issue with Jeremiah probably all of my life because it's something that everybody uses in reference to the prophetic and the prophetic ministry and all of those features, you know, build up, blah, plant, you know, the whole ordeal, right? But like you, I've kind of casually skimmed over the testing that God gave Jeremiah as he's preparing him for responsibility. And if it were me, because I am not as intelligent as God, I probably would have tested his prophetic accuracy. I would have tested his ability to follow instructions. I would have tested his ability to grow really big or to yell in microphones or whatever, you know, what makes a good leader. But God, being the type of God that he is, deemed that the appropriate test for Jeremiah need to be not just what he saw, but how he saw it. That if you were going to be a leader to cities or nations or kingdoms, that the first thing that I'm going to have to purify is your perspectives. And I talk to pastors, I talk to leaders all around the world that are in struggling places for whatever reason, whether it's that they feel alone in their city or that their congregations are not moving with vision or whatever the challenge is in ministry. One of the common things that I'm finding that is common to all leadership is a war in perspective. That Satan jumps in what they're dealing with and the hand that they're dealt and the amount of people that they have or the amount of money that they have or the amount of resources that they have or lack. And Satan starts to paint a picture that often brings them to turmoil because they can't understand that God is trying to test what they see. Now, typically when we preach to leaders and we preach leadership, vision is the word of the day. Vision. I've got vision. Vision is yet for a appointed time. We got a vision for a big building. Vision, 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 vision. I got a vision. I got a vision. But vision is not enough to get endurance in a leader. All nations, I need to borrow amen at this point. I think I said the word pimp and made some people mad. But leadership contains vision, but it's not enough to anchor it through cycles and seasons and storms, because the Bible says vision is for an appointed time. So vision comes as motivation, as inspiration, as fuel, but it don't necessarily keep you in the race.
That's right.
Jesse Jackson had vision.
Yes.
Dr. King had vision.
Oh, yes.
Great leaders throughout the world had vision. Or received an ideal about the way a future outcome should be for a city, for a society, for a church, etc. But this conversation shows us that there's going to come a time and a test where vision ain't going to be enough. The thing you wrote on the paper, our mission and our vision statement. You know, if you're a leader, you know what I'm talking about. That thing was real pretty before you started. Vision, mission, logo. I'm ready. Whoa. But year one comes and goes. Just be honest. Take the fruit basket off your head and tell the truth. Year two comes around. Fool around and you hit that one Sunday where you walk in church and ain't nothing but two people there. One of them got your last name. I remember the days where the Casio keyboard, because we couldn't afford a motif. The Casio that you press the button in, and because the drummer wasn't all the way saved, you had to press the button. And that's how you shout it. Y'all don't want to tell the truth. I'm just be honest. That day when you took up the tithes and the offerings and you were like, God, please, because I got to pay the rent this morning. I don't know what's going on. Oh my God, Sister Sanders ain't here today and she's the biggest tithe of what we gonna do this week. But y'all gonna act like that's not the truth. But I'm telling you now, that's just the struggles of that first season, you know. And so you would have to try to gotta really get a good word, because if they don't get it, you get the and during those times, vision wasn't enough.
Right.
Vision's not enough to make you wonder whether or make you stop wondering if you heard God right. Vision is not enough for you to not quit every Sunday.
Right.
Vision is not enough to make you. So the way we built leaders to be visionary has been insufficient for the types of stuff that they face and whatever degree of responsibility that they have. So perhaps vision has a mate, and vision has a partner. And vision has something that goes with it. The problem is we built our churches, our companies, our schools on vision, and that's 50% of what we need. So they are short-lived. They are frail in what they do. They don't grow and get off the ground. It's premature in what they want because vision ain't enough. So then I want to invite you into what God's rationale was with logic, that if God knew giving you this mission or this vision is not enough, then what is the partner or the spouse of vision? And it has to be perspective. That throughout your life and your career as a leader, your problem will never be, ever be, slow down Stevenson, what you're looking at. It's going to always be how you're looking at it. It's not going to ever be the amount of money you have. It's going to always be how you're using it. I'm learning now that leaders are in a war with training their perspective. And so it brings depression, and it brings isolation, and it brings regret, and it brings bitterness, and it brings hurt, because nobody asks them, what do you see? When you go to church, do you just see them 12 people? Is that all you see? I spent the first 9 years of our church preaching to a crowd that wasn't there. And if there was 10 folk there, I was acting like I was at Jake's congregation, hollering, spitting, rolling in the boat. When I laid hands on everybody, I started with the seats. So, if we didn't pop up today, this is 11 years in the game. But when there was nobody there, I preached in two worlds. I preached in the present, and I preached in the future. I laid hands on the present, and I laid hands on the future. When it was 12 of us on 38th Street, I would go and start prophesying to seats. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters from the uttermost parts of the world. I prayed them in. So let's do some work with some of this issue of vision and perspective and consider this, and then I'll lift this up to you. Number one, the reason God thinks that you should be a leader is because he believes you're capable of living on a different level than those you lead. Write that down. He believes that you've been equipped, hopefully, to live on a different level than those that you lead. Now, here is the problem. As a leader, when you are living at the same level of the people that you lead, you carry no ability to be a future pastor. Because where y'all live is the same place. Let me decode that out of deep ethereal stuff. What that means is this. When you are just as carnal as the people you shepherd, and you decide to wrestle in the flesh when they don't do what you want to do. They cuss at you, you cuss back. They send you a nasty ghetto email, you respond back in all text. Somebody send you a text message in all caps, I ain't on the choir, and you get all back ghetto girl with them. Then what happens is you forfeited your right to lead. I'm just scared of you. You have forfeited your influence to lead, and you have not realized that it's going to take you a couple of years to grow your end up. Leaders around the world are fighting for their rights to be a human being. And while you are human and you have a right to your humanity, you don't be a human on the job. You're preaching good, choir. Paul said, did we come through sufferings and storms and warfare to behave as mere men? So the type of leader you got to be is the one that don't grieve because you got a double standard on you. When your people treat you wrong, you don't respond and retaliate. It puts you on the same level as your people. When they are inconsistent and disloyal, you don't respond by being unfaithful to the unfaithful. What you're proving to us is that we are all on the same degree of maturity, on the same degree of strategy. When you lead, it's because you live somewhere else. Y'all hear them mouses shouting in the bathroom?
Yes, sir.
Leaders often fight for their right to be human. Especially if they're homongering. I come from a bloodline of homongering preachers, so I can smell them. The way they justified it was, I'm a man. And I got needs. Nobody ever wondered if one of those needs was deliverance. Come on. Oil on your head and fire on your bed. You need to cough before you hoop another sermon. Listen to me. If you are housing forces, pay attention, that are harassing your people, have the integrity to sit down.
something differently from how others see it. So the subject to that, if you're taking notes, that's point 1. Write down A, because now we're going to give you A and B under point 1. You're going to learn today. Under A is, there is a dualism to your standard. A dualism to your standard. We know it. You can't live the same way, but we really don't like that. Scripture teaches, now many of you should desire to be teachers, for you will be whipped with many stripes. That's an unfair standard, isn't it? There is a duality, right? But he says, when I'm preparing you and I'm dealing with your perspectives, I ingrain it and I engraft in your soul that you will not be able to get away with what they get away with. Amen. Amen. Point B in this is not only were you expected to be extracted from this, but God does not allow you to build by sight. That's point B. You don't build based upon what exists. This is what I see. This is what they need. This is where I'm going, etc. But you build by perspective. Now, go to point number 2. Y'all are a great class. We really need a different type of pastor school. Every year, when we get ready for our conference, we do a giveaway where we fly 2 pastors from anywhere in the world to be with us. All you got to do is write a paper. If some of you could see these papers, it would call for 30 days of mourning. Because these are the people who are over the souls of people in America and can't complete a sentence. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. These people have got to give a report to God in heaven and can't write a report on earth. But these are the ones who are over our soul. Just say loud. We need a different academic system for our leaders. It's ridiculous. And I blame some of the seminaries in America for it. We're teaching them Greek and Hebrew and not how to cast out demons.
Come on now.
And the devil come out. They want to go spray holy water on the wall talking about the blood, because they don't know how to deal with devils. We train them backwards. Let me get back to my message. So yeah. God, as a leader, gives you elevated sight. Write that down. Elevated sight. Everybody talks about the strength of the eagle being its wingspan and its ability to soar high. And that is a true statement, correct? But the potency and the thing that drives its ability to fly high is how it sees. How it sees. Its impeccable, impenetrable focus from high places. And our problem, how many of you fly? Amen. Now, this room full of leaders, we need more of y'all to get off the block. Please. Get out of Chicago. Jesus. You have no clue what ministry is about until you get out of your city and out of your nation. Come from out of the city and go see what God is doing around the world. When you are on a plane and you are on what you call an ascent, and you are going up, things that are massive ground level, houses, buildings, factories even, they are intimidating when you're on the same level as it. The higher you go, the higher you move up in your ascent. The things that look like mountains and buildings that were intimidating size-wise have now drastically shrunk. Right. Did the building change? No. Did the quality of the brick change? No. Those structures are still there. But what changed is how elevated your sight was. If I can lift your look, then I can make you overcome all of this. You see, when you are up against something that is intimidating, what you're saying is that this looks bigger than me, and this feels bigger than me, and this budget is bigger than me, and this project is bigger than me, and this mandate. The problem is not the thing, is that you're looking at it on the same level. So when you are called to a thing bigger than you, what should your strategy be? To prayerless self. You got to go up. This is one of the problems with our leaders. When last time you saw a prayer meeting led by your pastor? We have projected the prayer responsibility to the old ladies in the church, and that's why they dropping dead. My Bible told me that every prayer meeting in the book of Acts was led by apostles. They didn't give their prayer responsibility to some little old ladies and went on in their bins and scored on and played pool with the other folk that they preach with. My Bible says that they got in there and they began to pray with them people. I know when I'm getting ready to go to a new level, I can't give my prayer responsibility to no representative. I got to get there in my t-shirt, in my jacket, and I got to pray with my people. I got to stand on the floor and tell them don't mess with me until I've seen breakthrough. That's one of our problems, is that we don't know how to go up. There will come a season when Mother Jones can't be your prayer warrior. Glory to God in this Methodist house. There will come a time where you can't make everybody else fast and pray. You got to be the man that shows them how to go up. Now let me just make you even more mad. I would never follow a leader that I had not seen mess his clothes up in the presence of God. I need a man that knows how to go up. I got to be connected to a man that is a worshiper, that gets on the floor, that rolls around and cries. When a man does not know how to touch God, you are not want that booger trying to touch you. We need leaders. I don't want to go nowhere. We need leaders that can help us go up. It's easy to do fleshly stuff when a leader does not go up. But the way we go up affects our perspective. See, this is the reason why you stressed out that two of funky people left. Are they going to be the end of your mandate? Are they going to be the end of your choir? Are they not replaceable? Does God not have 7,000 more? Is there not a prepared people? So when you hear a leader grieving over stuff like that, what they're telling you is, I have not lifted my level of sight. I am focused on the things that are non-important. Every day when I'm on the phone with a leader, somebody is broken by a non-factor. Something that in the grand scheme of their purpose is not going to make a difference in about 10 or 20 years. But when you're still stressed and broken and wounded by something that is only capable of hurting you today, you miss the point about God's tomorrow. I have a policy. When anybody, I don't care who you is, except for my wife, when anybody comes to me and says the Lord has led them elsewhere, I say yea and amen, no questions asked.
Right.
You can't even hear that, can you? They got to bear witness with it. No, it don't got to bear witness with nothing. You did not sign a rental agreement with these people. They are God's, and there's a reason why your church got an entryway and an exit point. You're going to have sons, you're going to have students, you're going to have sojourners, you're going to have slaves, you're going to have different type of people coming through you're going to even have spies. And if you attach a prominence to people who are just roaming through your house, you don't hurt. But these gypsies will go somewhere else and find another pastor to kill.
That's good, sir.
Glory to God. I'm trying to set a pastor free today. Don't you ever cry because somebody said they feel led up. Bless them. Prophesy over them. Get the oil out. Procure the organ. Release them, people. Shout hallelujah. Hallelujah. You holding yourself back because you don't know how to release people. I don't care how long they've been with you. I don't care how long they played that tambourine. Let them go. I smell it. Cursing folk because they leave your house. Ain't nothing gonna work for you. What is it showing? You not lifting your level. You have to resort to witchcraft because somebody has made a bad decision. Everybody, where they want to go. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much. I don't go home and get no cognac. I don't go home and get no blunt. I don't go home and quit. You know why? Because my Bible tells me when a tree bears much fruit. Come on, Mr. Preach. I walk up on it and I prune it. I cut it back. Not because it did nothing wrong. Not because it did nothing bad. Not because it was this. I prune it so that it can bear much fruit. You keeping that stale stuff in your pews on your praise and worship.
hear the Lord say, let my people go. These are issues of elevated sight. Now in fairness, year 1, 2, 3, 4, that's subverting. You know why? Ask me why. Why? I didn't know the future. I mean, I knew it like y'all know, but I didn't know. You know, when you got them 40 people, 3 people leave, it really does feel like a church split. But can we be honest? You're like, hey. You could have took the ones with welfare. You didn't have to get the ones with the degrees. Jesus, Lord. But I'm here to tell you as a living witness, God will cause there to be a restoration. If you will not be afraid to let Lot go, God will send your promise. He will send your prosperity. You've got to stop wrestling with your nephews. If you're going to make room for your sons, you've got to let them go.
That's good, sir. That's good.
That's the part of leadership psychology that they didn't tell you in the more religious class. First thing you got to do if you're going to do this well is lift your sight. When you get hurt, step away from the keyboard.
Right.
Your carnal self.
Right.
Don't you become a keyboard coward and go into a Facebook pew with somebody that's dishonored you. I'm working it here. You got to get to a place where none of that stuff means a thing to you. You're not going to go, listen, you're disqualifying yourself and forfeiting your authority.
My God.
Elevated sight. You're staring at stuff right now that in a few years, if you're faithful, it's going to be so small. You ruling over nations and changing laws, you're not going to care about who didn't direct the choir on the last time. You're not going to be like, Lord, I never got healed from that. You're not going to care if you grow. The only people that grieve is those that don't grow. Somebody say, lift your sight. So you're going to learn that what gives you your leadership edge is your ability to see. Let me give you some levels of sight. Are you learning something?
Yes, sir.
Here is the first level of sight. God asked Jeremiah, what do you see? The first level of sight is sight. That is the ability to look at a thing and assess. Assess. When you're building organizations and companies, the church is the only institution in the world that does not measure success by growth. We will be climbing up the rough side of the mountain for 30 years and nobody will ever look and say, hey guys, hey, what are we doing? Nobody's growing. You know, McDonald's, every other organization in the world are like, look, this is not profitable. This is not working. We need to shut our 2 and few down and go merge with a more effective company. We don't do that. We don't use numbers as success. You know why? Because we say somewhere 2 or 3, hey, Baba Handa is gathered in my name. But you know what my problem with that is? Jesus was talking about a prayer meeting. He started the first new members class with 5,000 folks. And you're talking about where 2 or 3 gathered in your name. Well, certainly, if you want to pray, all you need is 2 and 3. But if you're trying to change cities, then there's a power in numbers and there is a might in masses. If you don't have a vision for thousands of people, take the side down. Can I assess it? Can I look at it and say, this is where it is? And can I assess it and not be depressed by what I see?
Come on.
I lead this all the time. Do you count how many visitors you got? No, we just see the hand and we say, you know, God, bless you once, bless you twice, bless your name, Jesus Christ, you know. But you got to assess. Say assess. The strength of every great visionary is not necessarily what they see in the future. It's their ability to assess what is versus what should be. And a lot of our houses are failing because of inadequate assessment. Now, you can't go and ask somebody to review your house that got saved there and filled with the Holy Ghost there. Because they have romantic and emotional and sentimental. This is home. So certainly I'm going to tell you things are just fine. This is just fine. And the people that don't want the truth, they're going to go, oh, yes, a massa mentality is keeping you locked in your lower potential. You need to act because an outsider is going to come in with no attachment. They're going to say, you know, it stinks. I can smell them bathrooms all the way out on the corner. I was trying to shout, but I got disturbed by the booger juice over there on the carpet. When the last time you got this stuff shampooed? it becomes distracting. Why? We don't like assessment. We don't like it. You know why? The type of leader we built, come on and preach it here, is afraid of critique. We have had patty cake coaches, and we see critique as judgment, and we see critique as rejection. But I believe God is raising up a kind of a leader that ain't scared to be critiqued. Tell me what's going on. I think it's an abuse of love to see me walking in the direction of a Mack truck and tell me close your eyes and praise your way through. The devil is a liar, and his mama got breast hair. I'm trying to tell you, I want somebody to critique me. Come on. Tell me what I'm preaching is on. Tell me I can't sing. Tell me the truth. We got a don't ask, don't tell policy in the Bible. Because we are a pride of the truth.
Oh,
Say sight.
sight.
The second level of sight is insight. Insight is number 2. Because when you see a thing and you assess where you are and what you have, not only should you assess it, you've got to be able to see what's inside of what you assess. This is where the spirit of wisdom and revelation takes note, because every leader really needs insight. Yes. You've got to be able to see a void. Glory to God. Now this is where my heart breaks with this, because I believe the Holy Ghost, I want you to hear me prophetically, God is grieved with the fact that we are no longer houses of deliverance. He is upset with us that we stop casting out devils. He is mad with the church that the oil of deliverance is no longer on our house. He is upset that there used to be a time where folk would come in drunk and leave out sober. He is upset that there used to be a day where devils would scream out in the middle of preaching, leave us alone. And for now, but I'm going to tell you what we replaced it with. We really did replace the deliverance with praise. Now I'm not bashing praise, I'm a praiser. But I'm going to tell you why praise breaks governs the black church. It's because the Bible says that praise has a therapeutic component. And it talks about the garment of heaviness for the spirit of praise. So there is a dimension of praise that helps you feel better. But what happens when God is sick and tired of you using your dance and you using your old defeated victory lap and you look like you got Tourette's? Because every Sunday you dancing over what you won't make a decision about. You dancing over demons that you learned to like. You dancing talking about you crying a war cry and you in a soul tie. You can't have no war cry living with you. Come on and help me in here. I believe God wants to stop us from praising like a bunch of special derelict people and make some healthy choices, make some decisions, change some numbers, leave some cities. Praise is like therapy. We don't like counseling, because you know what goes on in my house stays in my house. So I just think I'll shout about it. 3 years, and all you've done was dance. 3 years, all you've done was running up here and finding you a partner that you probably slept with. But I believe God is about to bring the fire of deliverance back to the church of Chicago, but he's going to put the words come out in the mouth of a leader. And we won't be talking about family and friends there. We won't be talking about a fish fry and a cat down. We're going to be talking about the casting out of demons. Say hallelujah.
Yes, sir.
Now the point I was making, I love deliverance. I love casting the devil out. Because sometimes, and this is my testimony, I teach her stuff like this. You could be looking and Googling and trying to hide what's in your house.
Yes.
Your assistant pastor, your youth pastor, your whatever. You could be looking and Googling and trying to shop in another man's church for what's in your house. And those potentials may be buried under addiction, buried under bondage, buried under rebellion. Can you see what's in a person past their issue? You see, if we won't touch, that's what makes you a leader. You can touch a person with their issue and not act like you're going to get the cooties. See, I don't have a problem before they got issues. I love gay people. I love drunks. I love porn addicts. I love all of them. I love all of them. You know why? Because I got power over the devil. So I'm going to keep people with issues around me, because I know one day, it may be 2 years or 20, when I'm done with you, there's a treasure that's in this earthen vessel, and I'm going to make an apostle out of you. I'm going to make a and then gut them out. So we don't do the classified ads stuff. That's how Jeffrey Dahmer got his job.
Wow.
We raise them up.
Yes.
We look at people and see potential. So insight is that ability of sight that allows for you to see the potential of a thing. The potential of a leader, the potential of a person. And if you look at a person who barely got a job, barely, know how to do whatever, and see business in it. Look at a guy that's selling marijuana and see those criminal behaviors polished. And see the businessman in them. This is a lot of work. But this is why it requires insight. There are going to be, and I'm prophesying to you, if God has called you to do what you're going to do, God is going to send you around hundreds of people that don't look like what they're going to look like. But I'm telling you now, if it's teenagers, you better work with them. If it's crack addicts, you better work with them. If they mocking you, you got all them young people in there. Those young people are not going to be young people for the rest of their life. One day they're going to be rich. One day they're going to have back. There was a season in my church where every boy that wanted to play basketball, every Sunday, they was the only ones I was laying hands on. I'm like, come here, boy, I can't play a liquor ball, but I'm going to send you out to there. And when you get this contract, you better pay your tithes. We have been so unwise. We have not been good stewards over the talent and the grace that God has sent in our midst. And there may be your next person sitting on your pews, but because you so bound and you so distracted by their bondage and you can't see past what's going on with them today into where God has taken them, you lack the ability to groom them for great glory. I don't blame you because it was done to you. But insight is the faculty that God gives leaders to groom the ungroomable. To look at a person in their current condition and give them opportunity to be made into what they're going to be. Now after insight, number 3 is going to be foresight. One of the greatest tactics of hell. Let's go to number 1, sight. Number 2, insight. Number 3, foresight. That is the ability to see beforehand. Now what that means is that if you are a real leader, God has called you to leadership, Satan's favorite tactic against you is going to be something called sabotage. Surprise attack. Camouflage. He gonna blend in so you can't see him. And all of the most premier attacks never happen from the back row. They get on your board.
Come on now.
They get on the signers of your bank account. Satan knows you're not going to really be upset or distracted by somebody you don't even walk with.
Right.
So the most potent attacks are going to come from your circle.
Yeah.
They have to. If they're going to be effective, they've got to come from people closest to you.
Right.
Because that's where it hurts. It's not a real attack. If you're like, oh, I didn't know you didn't.
Right.
Sorry about that, But when it gets in somebody who told you, I'm with you, Pastor.
Yeah.
I'm going all the way. I'm here for my leader. Whatever you say, I'm a real son. I ain't going nowhere. You ain't got to worry about me. You got to watch it. Some of these pastors are like, get me the heck up out of here right now. But you could be grooming your next monster.
Amen. Amen.
If you're addicted to flattery. And you can't see what's lurking and murking behind all of those empty words and promises. Say that. Foresight is the ability to see what's coming in a new season. For example, if you're screaming and crying over a new building, let me ask you a question. How well have you taken care of your rental space?
Come on now. Would you teach me?
And God is a businessman.
Yes, he is.
So he's very much so into stewardship. You ain't going nowhere if you can't vacuum the little room you got. And it won't be today. So you tell them intercessors, get their tail up off their phone, stop travailing and crying out, have to turn it off. Because you're wasting your time. If you have been a poor steward, I'm learning God is so connected. Listen, and if it hurts your feelings, God does not move by feelings. He is connected to his principle. And there are things that we are naming and claiming by faith that frankly our stewardship is